All right, cool. I mean, even that statistic itself is kind of like, how did they derive that? There's so many assumptions in statistics because we don't have complete information. It's like polling,
No, I agree.
Like, who's answering the phone?
I believe, though, that depending on it's always depending on the question. It's like any scientific endeavor.
Sure.
So your results are only going to be as good as the questions that you ask.
Your methods are equally culpable.
Agreed. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, sure, your question is the first problem.
But yeah, you're right. The methods are a huge problem. Yeah. According to this, by the time a woman is 50, only 15% of them have not had children.
15% of 50-year-olds, of women that reach 50, don't have children.
Yes.
Okay.
A little less than half of all women in the U.S. About 63% of women without children did not have a high school degree, which is in line with the largest percentage of childless women being between the ages of 15 and 19. I'm confused by all of this. Well, I guess what they're saying is between 15 and 19 years old, 96% of them do not have children. So about 60% of men over 15 are fathers. It's according to the census.
This is fascinating, Chris. It's really, really interesting.
I was just trying to figure out, what percentage of people have kids?
40, roughly.
Seems that way. Well, you brought it up.
Cool.
You were saying that it was, something that teaches people. It's a teacher, but everything's a teacher, so.
Sure.
It teaches some pretty specific lessons, and I'm clearly better for it, but I also recognize that if you're not raised right, like I wasn't, I get why people don't want to have kids. I still recommend, and I hesitate to recommend it, it's like, why are you going to recommend it?
Did you not want kids at some point?
No, I always sort of felt like I did, or always just assumed that I would eventually.
Yeah.
But then as I got into my 30s, I started to realize, actually, no. My relationships were so bad, and
yeah,
I just sort of felt
you couldn't see yourself having kids.
I just couldn't see it working out to a point where I wasn't regretting it, because I knew I'd never wanted to have a kid and get divorced, because I'd seen how badly that goes. I mean, it can go well too, but.
How old were you when your parents divorced? Teenagers, right?
I was 19. I was about 20, I guess.
Okay.
It was basically when my sister moved out to go to college. They were like, okay, jig's up. See
the
ya.
mask is off.
Yeah.
We've been faking it this whole time.
We've been faking it this whole time. They're so friendly, and yeah. It's worked out so well that I don't complain about it, because there's nothing to complain about. I also see the value of having parents that were adept enough and smart enough to be able to navigate that kind of situation without it blowing up in their faces.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, it didn't. I mean, I was rebellious, and I lacked the kind of positive male role model that, I think I needed.
Who hasn't?
Well, sure. But I didn't have a relationship with my dad, so that's what tripped it up. He was attempting it on certain levels, but it wasn't tailored to me, and we were so different. It was just like
we're already strangers by that point.
We're strangers, yeah. So
yeah. You've had a chance to revisit all that, though, in the later years.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've come to terms with all of that. Sort of forgiven myself, forgiven him, and him and I have a great relationship now. And despite how well my parents worked it out, I knew that I didn't want to have to do what they did. There's a certain sacrifice that I feel like everyone who has kids is making. It's just to what degree.
Yeah.
Think about what parenthood is doing is weeding out those who can't keep themselves under control, because it's causing so much tension within the individuals that the strength of their relationship is the only thing that they really got. The strength of the relationship is going to be the thing that's going to get them through actually taking this baby home,
right? Having
it do what it's going to do, because all babies are so different, and you can't prepare anybody for it, and all the issues that come up. I don't remember why I brought that up. Why we were talking about that, but
we were talking about the
divorce
family.
and not wanting to get divorced.